welcome back to the Cover 3 podcast here on CBS Sports. That's Tom Fornelli, that's Bud Elliott, that's Danny Cannell. I'm Chip Patterson, coming to you live at youtube.com/cover3 and all across the 24/7 Sports Facebook network. Thanks for hanging out. Smash that subscribe, smash that like, come and join us in the chat. If you are watching live, definitely hit that like because we are looking to give away more Paramount Plus 30-day free trials. That your opportunity to spend some of this holiday weekend taking in a mountain of entertainment, of course, available on Paramount Plus. Go ahead and get those likes up. We will set a goal a little bit later in the show, so go ahead and get everybody closer to that. If you're listening to this on your travels through the holiday season, happy Thanksgiving or Thanksgiving week or sort of wherever you are. Hope everything's going well for you and yours. This is a unique edition of the Locks Pod just because we are coming to you Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern time, but that does not mean it is not the best time of the week. So we're very excited to do that. We begin, as we always do, with a quick look back at the week that was. Tom Fornelli, a 4-4 week for you. On the winning side, hanging on, still in that. We do calculate the juice on this, but 60-59, that's above 500 in my book. Your wins were: you got the UTSA Rice under 58.5. You got the Washington first half minus 18.5. You got Indiana, Michigan State over 47.5, and you got that Utah, Oregon under 62. Never a daggum doubt. Chip taking it on the chin there. But Tom did come out with a lock fight loss as UCLA plus 2.5 is a loss to Danny Cannell. Unfortunately, UNITY is struggling right now.
Yes.
Oklahoma State plus 7.5 is a loss. Ohio State first half minus 15.5 is a loss. And the Kansas State, West Virginia under 54.5 is a loss. Again, 4-4 for the week, 60-59 for the season. Thoughts, takeaways for the week?
First, I'll start with gratitude to Kansas State and West Virginia, because if you're going to lose an under, I would much rather lose it in the fashion I lost that one, in which I didn't have to pay any attention past halftime. I knew that one was dead. Always appreciate that. Other than that, just not a great week overall. Upset that I was one of 4 lock fight losses to Danny. Lock unity struggled. But Chip, did you know that lock fight between us this week was the first one we've had all season long?
I actually did know that. I was scanning some of the lock fight and lock agreement statistics. I'm putting together a big breakdown before we get into the bowl season. I want to see what fights went one way or the other, what agreements were the most popular. I believe that with Bud and I losing on Michigan State, we fall to 10-6. The most profitable lock agreement is the Chip Bud agreement. You and I had no lock fights. I guess it's because I don't know. Just feeling the same way about this.
I am undefeated against you, though.
You are undefeated. All right. Let's talk about it. I already said that, I was very excited to find out that these do count as charitable contributions, being able to help Danny in his effort to get back above 500, giving him those lock fight losses, drop them in the Salvation Army bin. It's a 2-7 daggum week for your boy. The lone wins: Louisville minus 3.5 against NC State, and the Boise, Wyoming under 44.5, which, gentlemen, I don't know if you all saw the way that Boise and Wyoming ended, but what a ride for the under. And we've got the Cover 3 podcast actually tweeted the ending of it, so make sure you can scan back and look at that. The losses were many. TCU minus 2.5 and the TCU-Baylor over 58. That was the 2-for-1 lock fight with Danny. Georgia minus 22.5 against Kentucky. That was a lock fight loss with Danny. Michigan State minus 10. That was a lock agreement loss with Bud. The Utah, Oregon over 62. That was a lock fight loss to Tom. The UNITY, I was right there with Oklahoma State plus 7.5. And Circle the Dragon Saturday did not come through. UAB does not cover 14.5. 2-7 on the week is brutal. Still above 500, still profitable, even with the juice at 51-46 for the week. Danny just stacking them. Lock fight win, Baylor plus 2.5. Lock fight win, TCU Baylor under 58. Which, by the way, the combined points of those lock fight wins is what, 3? Right? Yeah, we came in like sweating every single moment of that game.
I never doubted.
Kentucky plus 22.5. There's a never in doubt for Danny Kanell on there. Also getting the lock fight win with USC -2. Clemson -18 is a win. Arkansas plus 2.5 is a win. Vandy plus 14.5. Barton sent along his thanks to Danny Kanell for riding for his doors. The Ole Miss Arkansas under 64 is a loss. UAB plus 14.5 is a loss. That you were also on Oklahoma State, and the Illinois Michigan over 40.5 is a loss. 7-4 gets you to 49-65 on the season. Is this it?
This the start. This the start of the comeback. It's coming right now. I'm on my way back. I'm going to come all the way back, finish this thing above 500. And it all started then. By the way, the Boise State, Wyoming I was texting you about, why in the world did Wyoming let a quarterback who was 3 of 15 with 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 30 yards passing on the night, just say YOLO. Let's just try to win the game instead of kicking the field goal to go to overtime. Don't get me started on that one. But I am starting to see the board better. I feel really good about this weekend too. So you guys better watch out. You may not want to fight this week.
Ooh, maybe we will. I don't know.
Some threats from Danny Kanell.
And by the way, all the success is why the bosses, they heard about this past week. They said, let's make him a nice background at the office. They're watching.
No, listen, we've already discussed this. Danny just had to get out from the construction zone. Danny needed to clear. That's what you needed, is you needed to clear your head. You needed to be able to see the board without the hammers and the drills in the background. Bud, it's a 4-5 week for you. The wins included Tulane -3, UCLA team total over 37, Clemson -18, and Kansas State -7.5. The losses were a USF team total under 23, Michigan -17.5, Michigan State -10, Bedlam over 66, and James Madison -8.5. 4-5 for the week has you at 73-57 for the season. What were the big takeaways from Bud Island?
Yeah, I still feel like I'm seeing the board really well. The market moved to me on, I think, 7 of the 9. It was even on 1, and it went against me on 1. I mean, USF under was obviously a terrible pick. Shout out Travis Trickett for scoring 42 points with, 2 receivers who look like me and a 4th-string true freshman backup quarterback on short rest. But knowing what you know before the game, I'd bet that again. JMU, Georgia State got 2 fumble 6s against them, and they still almost covered it. So I'd probably take that one again. Losing trust in Michigan State rapidly. So that's the one I think I'd probably like to have back. They just, second week in a row that they get up comfortably and just completely blow it. I do want to say, by the way, for this week, there are some games that you need to think about when you put your bets in. For instance, right? If Baylor beats Texas, Kansas State does not need the game over Kansas to go to the Big 12 title game. I'm not saying that spread will move a lot, but it might move some if Baylor pulls the upset over Texas, because then obviously KSU has the tiebreaker over Baylor. They would be the only 2 remaining 3-loss teams in the leagues. That would give Texas its 4th loss. And there are a couple situations like that too. So a couple situations you got to pay attention this weekend where teams don't need the game to accomplish their big goals. UTSA, for instance, last year they did this. Recall they played North Texas and lost to North Texas in week 13 last year and turned around and beat them when they had to, turn around and won the conference title game. So kind of pay attention, to what is happening and when you put your bets in, because you may find some line value if certain outcomes happen.
There are some positions on the board where at the kickoff, everything will be set, is what you're saying. Like the circumstances of some of these conference title tiebreakers will change based on Friday's action into Saturday or an early day action into late night action. Is that what you're saying?
Yep, exactly right.
Awesome. All right, gentlemen, we got week 12 in the books. We look ahead to week 13, rivalry week. Gentlemen, y'all ready to lock it up?
Yes, sir.
Since 2005, the under in games between service academies is 9-1.
Give me an over in this one as well. A little 2-for-1 special.
I was a sicko last week. Y'all were watching good games. I was live betting the hell out of ULN-Kentucky.
My blue plate special 5-star locks are coming.
5-star master lock. Lock it up. These locks.
I'm living and dying every point, every cover.
I need to know that the dentist is going to weigh in on the Egg Bowl.
Oh, he is.
Okay, because for those who have been with us a long time, you will remember that the legendary Egg Bowl middle involved the imitation of a dog urinating on a fire hydrant, a game-changing penalty, and a result that allowed a season win total and an individual game hedge to cash at the same time. The dentist was able to buy 4 more drills, 3 more nitrous masks, and an extra cubicle to take over the other dentist that he was sharing an office with, thanks to the Egg Bowl middle. So I'm glad that as we look at the lone Thursday night game in college football, Mississippi State at Ole Miss in Oxford, Ole Miss favored by 2, over under of 59. Very happy to know that the dentist has some thoughts on the Egg Bowl.
He does. Let's go right to him. God, I told this dude I'm sick. He's going to make me read like 3 paragraphs of analysis here. All right. I guess I will attempt to handicap this Egg Bowl. The people and myself will want to bet on it since it is the only Thursday college football game. Before the Kiffin drama, I think this was a really good matchup for Ole Miss. Their dinky 3-2-6 defense usually struggles against teams with a strong rushing attack and mobile quarterback, Arkansas, Bama, etc. State weighs in at 130 in the nation in rushing offense. Whoa. And Rodgers is no Bryce Young or KJ Jefferson. However, every single intangible points to Mississippi State. The Ole Miss season has taken a wrong turn, as Elliot Robertson likes to say. Ole Miss is coming off a short week and embarrassing effort at Arkansas, which they were fortunate to score in the last minute to ruin our under. Mississippi State has had plenty of rest and basically 2 weeks. They played an FCS team last week to prep. Ole Miss is a transfer/out-of-state heavy team, while Mississippi State is much heavier with Mississippi players who will care about this game. Mike Leach still looking for his first Egg Bowl win, while Kiffin has both feet out the door. I can't imagine Ole Miss is very prepared for this game mentally, and it also looks like it will rain a lot. All of the motivations and intangibles are on my Mississippi State side here, so Mississippi State +2 is my play. The only reason I won't make this my biggest bet of the year is if Ole Miss shows up to play, but they do match up well and should win. But that is a huge if here. Safe bet is Mississippi State. Tooth emoji, lock emoji. See you on Friday for the emergency pod.
Another intangible about this too is it's like Mike Leach kind of needs to win this game. Like if he starts off and loses again to Ole Miss, especially if it's an Ole Miss that might be on the verge of losing Lane to another job, that kind of, starts making you wonder. He's just lost his AD. He hasn't beaten your state rival. How much more time is he going to get there?
Well, little Leach backed into a corner. Well, anybody going to throw a lock on it?
I mean, can I throw a sprinkle on it right now?
Oh, you have to wait for the end of the show.
I'll throw a lock on it. Dennis and I had some success last week together. As he mentioned, we were on both sides, the total and Arkansas +2.5. We won one of them. I'll go ahead and take Mississippi State. Give me those points. For everything he said, I think is absolutely spot on too. I mean, even if Lane goes in and says there's no offer on the table, I got to believe there's a lot of questions, and the coach speak distractions are abound there in Oxford. I think and you got Mike Leach with an opportunity to get that first Egg Bowl win. I think they're going to feel like, hey, this is our opportunity. I think they make the most of it. So I'll go ahead and take Mississippi State.
Little lock agreement from Danny Cannell and the dentist. Friday, a lot of action, get you started through the day. We got a doubleheader on CBS, baby. But first, let's go ranked Tulane at Cincinnati. Cincinnati favored by 2, over under of 46.5. Who's got to play on this one? I'll take the Bearcats, and I'll lay it. Yeah, I don't know how many points Tulane is going to score in this game. I know they just lit up the scoreboard last time out, but that was against a non-existent defense and in a situation where we had to think that anybody was going to be able to score against SMU, particularly in Ullman Stadium. Cincinnati's very, very disciplined. They've got a really good pass rush. And I think that in this spot, we start to look again at Luke Fickell and be reminded of what he's done to be able to build that into the class of the American Athletic Conference. It's a really short number. It's a very low spread, 46, low total, 46.5. I like the home team to be able to cover and win this thing by at least a field goal.
So you said we haven't had a fight all year?
Ooh, no, Tom and I haven't. You and I have.
Oh. Who's winning our fight stuff?
So right now, a Bud Chip fight. Well, here, I'll look it up while we.
Fight.
Chip is 1-0.
Yeah, Chip has won the one lock fight against Bud.
Let's get back to even.
All right, let's go.
Give me Tulane plus 2.5. Like both teams need this game, obviously, to go to the American Championship game. I think that Tulane has a major quarterback edge here because Ben Bryant left the game against Temple with an injury. I don't know if he's going to play. While Cincinnati fans have been clamoring for the backup, who is a highly rated kid, I think it scares me a little bit that the staff has still not played the backup. And I do think Tulane's defense is for real. And I think they actually have the coaching edge in this matchup. I like Tulane's staff better than Cincinnati's staff, even though I know Fickell's a more accomplished head coach. So give me Tulane to go on the road here and get the W.
Chris Hampton fan club president Bud Elliott out here ready to roll with the wave. You mentioned the Baylor-Texas game earlier. That game is also at noon. Texas at home. Baylor an 8.5-point underdog. Anybody got to play for Baylor-Texas?
I do.
Okay.
Lamb. Texas is a wagon right now. We saw last week what it was able to do in that game. It just kind of took out the frustration from the TCU loss. I feel like it's taken out the frustration from a lot of close games and a lot of losses so far in the season. And I just think that, as I've talked about in the last few weeks, I don't like Baylor very much. I don't think Baylor is that good. And I think that this is another instance where Texas is going to be able to get up and kind of I don't want to say blow them out, but I think Texas will be in control of this one. I don't think Baylor defensively, it's a terrible run defense. I think Bijan's going to put up a monster performance. I think that'll open things up for Quinn Ewers in the passing game. And I just don't know that Baylor has enough right now offensively to keep pace. So give me the Horns minus 8.5.
Lock it up. Woo! I do like being in agreement more than I like fighting. By the way, Texas at this point will still think they have a chance to get to the Big 12 championship game, right? Mm-hmm. Kansas State plays later. I think that kind of hope hanging out there. Also, I think you got to look at what Baylor went through last week. Devastating loss, had that thing. They're going to be a little bit emotionally drained from that performance. I don't know if you're going to get their best shot. I think you're going to get a healthy dose of Bijan. So give me the Longhorns and Lamb as well.
We've got a Missouri team at home. Alpha Nerd just needs a win to get the Tigers bowl eligible. Arkansas in town after punching their ticket with a win against Ole Miss. It is the back end of a doubleheader. Boise State and Utah State is the first game on that Friday at CBS doubleheader. So anybody got to play for Arkansas, Missouri. Arkansas favored by 3, over under 55.5.
So the weather here looks okay, actually. 5-mile-an-hour wind, what's the best we can do over under on this?
50. Wait, are you trying to go under or over?
No, I want to go over.
Any
55s?
No, there's only 55.5 that I could see.
I'm going to pass it then. I need 55 to go over. I do think that Missouri's got some questions at DB injury-wise, but they need the game. They need it to make a bowl. So I think they'll shoot it out. I need 55 to bet it.
Missouri's
Mizzou.
Ooh, okay. Let's go.
I get 4.5. What's the best number I can get?
3.
Oh. Scratch it. Scratch that from the record. I don't know. I got to get rid of this bogus thing I use. I don't even want to sell them under the. I need to find a better. Never mind. I'm a little irritated.
Instacart some screens.
Yeah.
Get yourself a new odds board to look at.
Stricken from the record.
We still think Missouri's run defense is pretty good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's going to give them, I think, their best chance there. No lock from me, though. On Friday in Kenan Stadium, Chapel Hill, North Carolina. A wounded wolf and a wounded ram as both NC State and North Carolina enter their rivalry game coming off of losses. North Carolina favored by 6.5, over under of 56. Anybody got a lock for the Tar Heels and the Wolfpack?
I do.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Lay them. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely lay it with North Carolina minus 6.5. This is under a touchdown against an NC State team that is down to its fourth string quarterback. They got Ben Finley out there against Louisville because they could not get enough of a downfield passing attack from Jack Chambers, attorney at law. They say that MJ Morris is not officially ruled out for this game, but I have to think that the way that Dave Doran has played quarterback injuries and the way that things have gone, Grant Gibson is ruled out officially for this game, the starting center, who I do think will be in the NFL one day. And North Carolina, while have to be massively disappointed for the defeat after blowing a 17-0 lead to Georgia Tech, they are playing at home. There will be a lot of red in the building. NC State does a good job of buying up some tickets in Kenan Stadium. I think it will be competitive, but I think the fact that it's competitive will actually help North Carolina stay invested in getting a win that would be the 10th win of the season and give them a little bit of a better bump heading into the ACC championship game against Clemson. So give me the Tar Heels minus 6.5.
You are crazy.
All right, let's fight it.
We're fighting.
Fight.
I have a couple bets that I've kind of labeled different names. Like, wouldn't this be so ACC? Coming down the stretch, if the team that was already locked into the ACC championship for its last two games lost those last two games, nothing would be more ACC than that. And I will remind you, I don't think it matters if people are healthy for NC State or not. Go back and look at the amount of games that have been field goal decision type games. Miami, they win by 3. Duke, they win by 3. Virginia, they win by 3. Wake Forest win by 2. Again, Georgia Tech had a chance to win by 2 or 3 at the end. I really hope North Carolina doesn't blow this. I am worried that it's going to come down to the wire, so I will go ahead and snatch up the entirety of those 6.5 points.
Yeah, I'm not locking anything up, but Chip, you mentioned that NC State's down to its fourth string QB. What string QB was Georgia Tech down to last week?
Oh, third. But like you said, that was what they needed. They needed the coach who was not there, and they needed their third string quarterback. NC State did win this game 34-30 a year ago in this Friday spot. You may remember it was a game where both teams gained and blew double-digit leads. Absolutely wild finish where NC State is able to steal the victory late. But the previous two times that NC State and North Carolina have played under Mac Brown, 41-10 North Carolina in 2019, 48-21 North Carolina in 2020. I'm going with Mac in a rivalry game. So we got it, Danny. We're back at it. I
hope you're right. Actually, I do. I want North Carolina to have a strong performance, strong showing. But
I mean,
Ben Finley played in this game in the COVID year.
Listen, he's
Remember,
been around a long time.
Was it Hockman who got knocked out for NC State?
Yeah, because Leary got knocked out early in 2020. Then Hockman came in there, and then Finley had to come back.
Can't put a
what
price
does it
on
say
that
that
experience?
What does it say that Finley is fourth string for these guys behind Jack Chambers? Like, NC State needed a half against Louisville to figure out Jack Chambers can't throw the football. And we've seen 10 halves of him.
So Dave Doran was saying that because of I'm not endorsing this explanation, but okay. Dave Doran said because of the wind in Louisville, they just didn't think that Chambers could move the ball down the field. They needed a stronger arm. So in comes Finley. Woo! All right. Later on Friday, day after Thanksgiving, let's go to another rivalry game. Florida at Florida State. The Seminoles now up to number 16 in the college football playoff rankings. They are favored by 9.5, over under of 58. There is an outcome where Florida State finishes as the second highest ranked team from the ACC in the college football playoff rankings. Gators coming in off the loss to Vanderbilt. It's in Tallahassee. Knowles, where we thinking for this rivalry game?
I've got a lock here.
Let's go.
Let's go over 33.5 points for the Knowles team total.
Dang, that's a really good play.
So You can think that FSU's defense is really, really improved, and you can nitpick it too because they've played, just 4 dead offenses in a row. Miami, ULL, which held out a couple guys, and obviously their quarterback was out. Georgia Tech with a hurt quarterback, and then the third stringer, who I guess UNC somehow lost to, Cuse, which was really banged up. But I don't think the defenses, for the most part, that FSU has faced have been, that much diminished. And the offense looks better and better each week. Jordan Travis is operating it well. Benson's running the ball well. They got Ward back last week, like the receivers they have. Florida's defense. Now, I don't know how much credit we should give these guys for holding South Carolina to what they did, given that South Carolina bombed Tennessee. But entering that game, South Carolina only had, I think, 18 touchdowns in SEC play. So it really wasn't all that impressive to me. Before A-Chain got hurt for A&M, they were running up and down the field on Florida, and then Vanderbilt moved it on them somewhat well for Vandy standards. So I'm not saying this is like a no doubter, but to me, I think the odds that FSU scores 35 plus are pretty good, and I would expect them to go tempo here. We've talked about Florida's lack of defensive line depth. They've got that nose guard. The broadcast will make a big deal out of it. Watson, how he's 400 pounds or damn near. I think they should go tempo early and often to get in the UF's depth, and also like what's his name, the stud backer for Florida, Miller, is out the first half for a targeting. So starting safety Rashad Torrance went down last game. I've been reading some of their player quotes. They're talking about how the other guy is going to be just fine. Like, okay, well, that kind of implies that maybe Torrance won't play. I think FSU can get to 35 plus here.
I really, Danny, do you have a lock on this?
I was going back to check something.
I'm going to take Florida State, by the way, but go ahead.
Did I? Trying to think. I don't want to jinx it. I'm very superstitious. I did. All right, cool. I had them versus Miami. I'm going to take them versus Florida. Lay them. I think the key to this game really is, though, the first quarter, because I do think Florida, no doubt, they're going to come out with their best fight, right? They're going to come out, we can upset, we can ruin their season. You got to knock that out of them, because if they hang around, that could be problematic. Then, you start sensing the crowd gets a little bit uptight, like, oh, maybe this year, maybe these past opponents weren't that good. But I do think Florida State comes out hot, just like they did against Miami. They have done a really good job with Jordan Travis, who, by the way, in the month of November, has 11 touchdowns he's responsible for, 9 incompletions. He's playing in the month of November. They sent out a tweet and tagged me on it, so I'm just reading it, but leads the nation, 81.6 completion percentage, 205.1 passer rating. He is absolutely on fire. I think the trend continues, so I'll go ahead and lay it. I'm bummed I couldn't go. I was trying to get to this game, but I got to work.
So since 2007, only 2 of these games have been decided by single digits. It is a rivalry that is competitive, but the results actually are not. I think that's what we see again. We see a Florida State double-digit win. I'm not going to just like copy and paste Bud's play of team total over, though if you had to nail me down on the one matchup I feel the most confident about, it is that Florida State's going to be able to move the ball on Florida's defense. But I'm going to stick with history here. The Gators have won 3 straight. Mike Norvell's still looking for that win in this game. And I think that there is going to be every motivation playing at home, playing at night, holiday weekend, to run this thing up and to try to dance a little bit and celebrate what has been such a strong close to the season. We knew that Florida State, even at 4-3 in some of those losses, was starting to get close and was probably better than a 4-3 team. And all Florida State has done since coming back from the bye week is thrash teams. It's like 24, 35, 33. They have just absolutely dominated on both sides of the ball. I think that they're the more well-rounded team. And I think over the course of 4 quarters, this game goes, again, like all of the games except for 2 since 2007, they are decided by double digits, and it's decided with a Seminoles victory. So give me Florida State minus the 9.5.
They got healthy.
Hit the Latifa.
Yes.
Oh. We gotta let them know. Come on, here we go.
What if I told you there's one team in the entire country in the month of November that is top 5 in both points scored per possession and points allowed per possession? And that team was Florida State. Florida State is a wagon. It's
Yeah.
a wagon right now. Nothing's getting in its way. I know that the schedule's been light since the 3-game losing streak in October, but they have absolutely destroyed those dog poop teams that have gotten in their way. And again, a lot of you guys have already said this. When I look at this matchup, I don't see Florida getting many stops. I think Florida State will get some. So as long as it's in the single digits, I'm all over the Noles here.
What's our record?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter because
3-6?
we're winning this one.
All right. I like it.
Okay. Turning our attention to let's see, that is like we still got Wyoming, Fresno State late. If anybody's got to play on that, we can do that when we open the board after the break. We got to get to the game. Michigan at Ohio State. The Buckeyes laying 7.5, over under of 56. Who's got a lock in Ohio State, Michigan?
I do.
Okay.
The world famous Ohio State Buckeyes is not my pick, but I'm on the under because I think that the biggest question mark heading into this game is Blake Corum's status. Like I'm optimistic that he's going to play. I have no idea how healthy he will be because my thought is even if the injury is not super serious, it was serious enough to keep him out of a game in which Michigan trailed until the final seconds last week. So it has to be something that's going to be not just, you're recovering from within a couple of days. But even so, when I try to break this matchup down, I don't know with certainty who's going to win. But if Michigan wins the game, I don't think that they're built in a way that can really put up a ton of points on Ohio State. I think, they are a run-first team, and I think Ohio State's weakness in the defensive side is in the secondary, and that's not really something Michigan can exploit. So if Michigan wins, it's going to be kind of a rock fight, kind of low-scoring affair. And if Ohio State wins, I think Michigan's defense is pretty solid as well, so they can at least limit the Buckeyes better than most teams, or if Ohio State blows them out, I still think they'll finish under the total, so I'm taking the under.
Hello. Oh, it's
yeah. I'm getting that. Yeah.
You guys getting into it?
What? You got a little feedback?
Big time.
Echo. Yeah.
Oh, no. Echo.
Is Chip the only one not hearing it? Yeah, because I'm hearing it as well.
He's the only one without it.
All
right. Chip, I'm going to give you my pick.
Wait, everybody else is hearing it still?
I don't hear it when Chip talks.
Yeah, only when we talk.
All right, hold on, then I'll jump out and jump back in. Y'all keep talking.
That'll be awful. If we all still have the echo.
I still have it.
Yeah, what if Chip's back and then Chip has the echo?
Oh, now it's gone. It was all Chip's fault. What the heck was Chip doing? Yeah.
All right, I'm in lock agreement. Hey,
Yay!
All right, Michigan has several key offensive players hurt in addition to Corum. I'm not sure if they're going to play or if they play, how healthy they will be. Inside Ohio State's program, this has been an absolute just mantra all year about toughness. Okay. And just being physical. I've heard Ohio State's practices have been more physical this year than they were last year. Like, I think Jim Knowles is a major addition for them. This is the game that they brought him in for, or at least one of the games, obviously. So I'm going to take the under as well. Tom, what's our best? 57. Under 57 for me is a good number on that. I like that. And we've talked a couple times this year about these teams having little troubles in the red zone, and that could show up in this game. Give me the under.
Is the echo still there?
Nope.
Gone.
All right.
There was like a demon in your mic before you left.
Ooh. Get out of here. Anybody else got to play here?
All right, I'll take it. Man, I don't know if I should take it or not, though. But I'll go ahead and take the Buckeyes. Lay the 7.5. Michigan, to me, I was starting to buy in a little bit. Then you go back and look. If Blake Corum is banged up, the injury to me looked like a contusion sort of one where, and he's walking around on Thanksgiving, which is great. Awesome. But if he's not 100%, JJ McCarthy is not the quarterback we thought we were going to get, and why they switched from from Cade McNamara. Like, I just don't think that dimension has been there. I think Michigan will be able to get enough points, and I don't know if Michigan's going to get many points at all, which is why you guys are on the under. But I do think there's a ton of incentive to go ahead and keep scoring a lot of points. In a rivalry game that Ryan Day would love nothing more to have a little bit of revenge for all the smack that was talked last year. You'd love to put CJ Stroud firmly in the New York City with a lead on the Heisman Trophy race. This is really their last opportunity to impress. So if they win big, seeding comes into play. Who's the number 2? Like, they'll probably be there, but I think it's just another opportunity for them to impress. I think they do. I think the offense is too much. As much as we've talked about Michigan's defense is so much better because statistically they are, I don't think they're going to be able to have as much success getting to CJ Stroud as they did last year. I think they'll find ways to put up points. They have too much talent, too many weapons. Even with a decimated backfield, they've got depth that Michigan doesn't showcase. So whether you're down to the 3rd running back, 4th running back, it's going to be another 5-star who can go off. Give me the Buckeyes.
Danny taking Ohio State. Now, a reminder, on Saturday, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, we have a Cover 3 pregame watch party. We will be breaking down the Iron Bowl, Alabama and Auburn. We are going to have some special guests. This will be a lot like you remember before Alabama-Ole Miss. We had Matt Corral join us from Lane Kiffin's office. So special guests as we preview and discuss Alabama at Auburn, which is the SEC on CBS game of the week. The Crimson Tide laying 22 points, over under of 49.5. Who's got an Iron Bowl lock?
Man, I want to lay it with Alabama here. I would need 21. I think Auburn is pretty damn banged up on the defensive line, but just like I think Auburn's full go for this game as far as motivation. And I don't know where Bama's head's at, right? Like, a lot of people think Bama will have 2 new coordinators next year. How many of these Bama kids are going to portal out? I bet you a lot of them. So
we've already started. Trey Sanders is out.
Right. I mean, but you still get Bryce Young, but how healthy is Bryce Young? If this steam's if Auburn catches some steam, I'll lay it with the Tide here, but I'm not going to lay the 22.
Anybody else?
Nothing. I would take Auburn before I took anything, but I'm not taking anything.
How many points do you think Auburn is going to score against this Alabama defense?
50.
Well, they're pretty one-dimensional, right?
Yeah. I think that could become incredibly problematic.
Yeah, like somewhere between 7 and 20.
And
I don't think they'll score 3 touchdowns.
What's our team total?
What's the spread? 52? Or what's the total?
49.5.
It's 49.5.
25 and 22, 11. So it's probably like 14 or 13.5. I'll find it for you here, Chip.
If I can get a 14, I'll go Auburn. If I can get around 14, I'll go Auburn team total under.
A 13.5 on DK. What does Rivers have here?
13.5.
Yeah. Looks like you got a 13.5 here, Chip.
Whatever. I'll take it.
All right.
We got to have a play in the SEC on CBS game of the week, especially when it's the daggum Iron Bowl on the last day of the regular season, rivalry week. Yeah, give me the Alabama defense having a big day, and the Auburn team total under 13.5. Don't mind the full game under 2, but then you're betting against Bryce Young. And that does not seem like something that I want to do in what is likely almost certainly Bryce Young's final game in Bryant-Denny Stadium. I will go with the Alabama defense here and take the Auburn team total under. Out in Corvallis, we've got Oregon at Oregon State. The Ducks are only favored by 3, over under of 58.5. Anybody got to play on the Civil War?
We're still sitting 3 here?
Yeah.
Should I do it?
I mean, just Beavs, like on some college football reasons, or are you trusting that Oregon's the more well-rounded team and that they keep this thing rolling?
Oh, no, I like Oregon.
Okay.
Just because I feel like Oregon's run defense is fine. Their pass defense is horrid. And Oregon State is not a very good throwing team, right? Meanwhile, like Oregon State is a pretty good secondary, but you can run the ball somewhat on the Beavs. This will come down to injuries most likely. But like obviously we don't have that information totally. I'm going to go ahead and lay the 3 with Oregon here and trust they can go on the road and get the dub. But it's scary as hell, man, because they play really well at home. I think Jonathan Smith is one of the best coaches in the Pac-12, maybe the best coach in the Pac-12. And that it's tough here. I just think matchup wise, more than power ratings wise, Oregon feels like a better shot. If I lose this, it's probably because they got to see what Oregon does without Bo Nix being able to run, and then they had a full week to prep for, all the screen stuff that they threw last game.
Anybody else?
Pass.
The Pac-12 laws of Bill Walton would say take the Beavs. Because otherwise you've got Oregon.
I was going with wouldn't it be so Pac-12 for Oregon to lose this game?
Right. That's
like going down the stretch, knocking another team out. I mean, I don't know.
Beating Oregon would be a more impressive win for USC than beating Utah or Washington.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, yeah, from the Bill Walton angle, yes, for sure. Oregon State's going to win by 30.
Speaking of, by the way, we've already hit 150 likes on the video and we didn't even have to set the goal. So go ahead and drop your Twitter handle in the chat. Make sure you are following the Cover 3 podcast on Twitter as well. We will go ahead and hand out a couple of Paramount Plus 30-day free trials for that premium plan. We will maybe do it again. Let's say if we can get it up to 200 by the end of the show, we'll do it again. So go ahead and drop those handles in the chat. We will get in touch with a couple of lucky winners. And then if we can get the likes up to 200, we will do it again. Speaking of those USC Trojans, they are at home closing out the regular season against rival Notre Dame. The Trojans are favored by 5.5, over under of 64.5. This is the Golden Shillelagh.
Golden Shillelagh.
The Golden Shillelagh's on the line, and so are the college football playoff, the potential of a college football playoff appearance for Lincoln Riley, Caleb Williams, and the Trojans. Who's got a lock for USC Notre Dame?
I do.
Let's go.
Give me the Irish plus 5.5. If you look at USC defensively, it cannot stop the run. Notre Dame, since that Stanford loss, has just kind of completely gone run on offense, and it has been very effective for them against some tough teams. They beat Clemson doing it. And if you also look at USC's defense, like what was the one thing they did to stop UCLA last week? They intercepted the ball. It's the only thing USC has in its back pocket defensively, turning the ball over. They've turned it over 24 times, but 18 of those turnovers have been interceptions. Can't intercept a pass if the other team's not throwing any. So when I look at this matchup, it's like USC is going to move the ball. USC is going to score points, but Notre Dame's defense is one of the best defenses it will have faced all season long. And I do not see the Trojans getting enough stops to give themselves a chance to pull away. So I see this being either a close USC win or a USC loss. Give me the Irish plus 5.5.
Anybody want to take USC?
I'll fight him.
Yeah.
Fight.
Who's the best quarterback that Notre Dame has faced? Probably week 1, CJ Stroud, right? They were able to hold him in check. I think Caleb Williams is better than CJ Stroud. I think he has arguably just as many weapons, probably not as deep, but Jordan Addison, what he's doing is absolutely destroying teams. I just think you're starting to feel some of that momentum build. There's something special on the cusp. I considered this as wouldn't it be a Pac-12 if USC lost this game outright right before they're knocking on the door of the playoff. But man, Caleb Williams is pretty special. The defense concerns me, but I think facing a run-oriented defense will at least give them a chance to slow down Notre Dame. Notre Dame's going to try to slow this entire game down to steal possessions, but Caleb Williams has been so tough. I'm going to give it to him. I'm going to lay him.
The teams that have given Notre Dame trouble have largely just said, we think your receivers suck, and we're going to play singles on the outside, and we're going to beat you on the we're going to beat your run game with numbers. It's largely what Navy did in the second half to them when they had to. It's what Marshall did. right? It's what Stanford amazingly was able to do. I think USC probably could do that. I just hope I hope Notre Dame takes some money here and this gets down to 4. I would prefer that. 5.5 is not really a bet for me, but I think the quarterback disparity here is pretty big. I don't trust Pine at all. I think the offensive coordinator matchup is also pretty big. But I mean, again, like Tom's point, Notre Dame's defense has just been living on turnovers only. They don't really get much in the way of stops. So be a fun one to watch.
Coming up on the other side, we open up the entire Week 13 rivalry week board with more of our locks. Next.
We had 16 dead bodies in a buried shipping container. These aren't just connected cases. This is a serial killing network.
The BAU is different.
Where others see monsters, we see patterns.
This is the biggest case we've ever had. If there's something to find, I swear to you, we will find it.
To review what we have on the board so far, Tom's on Florida State -9.5, Notre Dame +5.5, Texas -8.5, and the Ohio State Michigan under 57. Chip Scott, Florida State -9.5, Cincinnati -2, the Auburn team total under 13.5, UNC -6.5. Danny's got Florida State -9.5, USC -5.5, Texas -8.5, NC State +6.5, Ohio State -7.5, Mississippi State +2.5. Bud is on the Florida State team total over 33.5, Tulane +2.5, Oregon -3, and the Ohio State Michigan under 57. We've got a Chip Bud lock fight on the Cincinnati-Tulane spread. We've got a Tom Danny lock fight on Notre Dame-USC spread. We've got a Chip Danny lock fight on the North Carolina-NC State spread. Lock agreements on Texas -8.5 for Tom and Danny. Lock agreements on the Ohio State-Michigan under for Tom and Bud. And Latifa looking for a comeback on the Noles -9.5. All right, Danny, what you got?
All right, let's go with the team that has one of the best social media followings. Let's go with TCU playing against Iowa State. Pretty big number versus a team that has eked out a lot of close late fourth quarter games, including last week needing that bazooka field goal unit to come on the field and kick it through those uprights. 9.5. Can I get 9.5?
You laying with TCU?
I'm laying them with TCU and Sonny Dykes and the boys. I doubted them last week. They came through. Iowa State's not very good. And I think TCU feeling on the cusp. They're right there closing the door. They're playing at home. I think that plays a massive role in this game. I think they take control of it. I think the offense is too much. And as I said, Iowa State offensively has not been very good. So,
Yeah, can I get 10?
Fight.
Yeah,
Iowa State +10.
Bring it.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with what TCU does. You keep talking about these close wins. Let me tell you about these close losses for Matt Campbell and Iowa State. They drag you into the muck. And while frogs have legs that can jump, if you're stuck in the muck, you can't jump as high. Iowa State loses one-score games. It is what the Cyclones do, and it's what they'll do against the Horned Frogs as well. They drag them into the muck. They lose by one score. They cover 10 points.
Yeah, Iowa State's 7 losses. Only one has been by double digits, the 27-13 loss to Oklahoma. The other 6 losses have come by a combined 24 points. Combined. So an average of 4 each. And also just another thing, too, not even just Iowa State's muckiness. Let's look at TCU the last few weeks. If you look at TCU to start the year, their first 7 games on offense, they had a success rate of 45.2%. We're scoring 3.27 points per possession and had an explosive play rate of 16.4%. Last 3 games, not just the Texas game, success rates dropped to 38.4%, only 1.92 points per drive, and explosive play rate of 11.4%. This offense is no longer firing on all the same cylinders that it was early in the year. And now it's going up against the defense that has limited pretty much everybody it has faced all season long. Cyclones are covering. I don't think they're winning, but they're covering.
There's so much enjoyment when I beat not one, but 2 of you guys in a lock fight. Just makes it that much sweeter. I say bring it.
All right, Bud, where do you want to go?
All right, let's play some music here.
What for? Oh, the
Sicko mode.
Yeah. Got you. Is it Minnesota, Wisconsin?
It's time for sicko mode. Let's go. I'm a little bit lower on some of the teams in the bottom of the Sun Belt. If things go wrong, they could be like UMass, UConn. That's kind of like sicko mode of a sicko mode.
All right, so got a sneaky angle here that I feel like we'll get home. We're going to go back. Last week, I took Marshall at Georgia Southern. This week, I'm going to take App at Georgia Southern. And I'm going to lay the 4.5 points. So here's the thing. You might think that App is already bowl eligible.
They're not.
No, they're not. Now, Georgia Southern needs this game as well. Georgia Southern last week did not have the best run defense. I don't really think that will improve all that much. I'm going to go ahead and lay the 4.5 points with App at Georgia Southern. Now, how do I get beat on this? Maybe Georgia Southern's quarterback is more healthy. App's pass defense has not been all that great this season, but I do think they can probably push around the Eagles just a little bit. So go ahead and give me App, lay the 4.5 points there in Statesboro.
Well, we've been telling you all season long that one way that you can make sure that you are mixing in some exercise to your very busy schedule. And look, at the holiday times, you are enjoying the holiday festivities. You also need to make sure that you're still getting that body moving, and things are busier than they've ever been before. And that's why we want you to turn your attention to getting Peloton into your life. Because listen, Peloton's not just about the bike or the treadmill. It's about the community. It's about the team of instructors ready to motivate you 24/7. Because with Peloton, there are literally thousands of classes ranging from strength training to yoga to running and boxing. And it means that Peloton is the perfect non-judgmental space to experiment with new types of movement at a level, a pace, and a schedule that is perfect for you. So it doesn't matter if you only have 5 minutes or if you've got a whole hour. Doesn't matter if you want to do it first thing in the morning or if you want to do it late at night. Peloton's got a class that fits into your day. And did I mention that the music is absolutely iconic? You can choose so many different styles and genres of music to fit the kind of movement you're looking for. You want to blast 90s hip hop? There's a class for that. Do you want to just ugly cry to some power ballads after a bad day of work? There's a class for that. And if you want a Pride Month playlist that'll get your blood pumping, there is a class for that as well. It is motivation that moves you anytime, anywhere. Danny, Tom, we are going to be enjoying the festivities of Thanksgiving. I know that we got to cycle in some Peloton as well. What's on deck for the workouts in your future?
Oh, there's going to be some cardio coming up on Friday because God knows we are going to need it after what I plan to do on Thursday to Thanksgiving dinner. So, yeah, but I think especially too, like you mentioned, the timing, having the shorter classes, I think for this week, especially because, we are so crammed with work this week ahead of the holiday, that just be able to have like a 15 to 20 minute class, to be able to find the time to hop on and get those in has been great.
No doubt. Little Christmas themed class too. Those are always fun. I'm actually looking at possibly getting a treadmill as a Christmas gift to myself, because not only the Peloton bike, but the tread is awesome too. So I cannot wait to possibly just treat yourself, little Christmas gift, little Peloton.
Give me a run to Mariah on repeat. I will do a Christmas music workout 100%. And you can too. Try that Peloton bike or tread risk-free for 30 days. To learn more, go to onepeloton.com. That is ONE for one. Onepeloton.com, Peloton, ONEPELOTON, onepeloton.com. New members only. Terms apply. All right, Danny, do you have to...
One more for me, and then I got to bounce. And I put some others in the chat that I already got out there, because this is similar to last week, too. Running out of time. Let's just make sure we get it. But we have two opposing forces about to meet in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yes.
You've got a team bringing a ton of momentum, excitement, and a quarterback coming off a 3-touchdown performance, and Mike Wright just salvaging the season. All of a sudden, you get all this energy playing at home. And then you've got, on the other side, the Tennessee Volunteers. Just a devastating loss. They lose their quarterback. I don't know where their mindset is. 14.5 points. Give them to me. Give me Vandy. Give me our boy Barton. I think it's too many points, and I don't think it's that crazy to think they could pull off the upset yet again. It would not shock me.
Lock agreement.
Let's go.
Oh, wrong one. How many games are you going to win this fall? 6. 6 is how many you're going to win this fall. All right, you're going to Vandy too?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like Tennessee right now. It just got blown out by South Carolina. It lost Hendon Hooker to a torn ACL. Its playoff hopes are dashed. It's got to be, feeling pretty down bad. And Vandy needs a win for a bowl game. And they've been talking this week how, this is a playoff game to them. They are going to not only try to beat Tennessee because it's a rivalry game, Vandy wants to get to a bowl. So will they do it? I don't know. Will they cover? Pretty sure.
Shout out to Buck in the chat, who does drop the history on you. The last 2 times that Vanderbilt became bowl eligible, they were 5-6 going into the game, hosting Tennessee in Nashville. So let's go and let's do it. Yeah, Doors plus 14.5. I had honestly had Tennessee Vandy over 64.5 on here, but I would just rather root for the 14 and a hook. And Mike Wright. There's some, if you want to take the over 2, I endorse it, but for show purposes, come on, let's go. Latifa, 14.5 for our Doors. All right, Bud, where do you want to go?
Yeah, let's go ahead and take this to, you saw I unmuted, by the way, right? That was quality. All right, go ahead and give me rotation 195 on the board. I'm going to go ahead and take BYU and lay the 6.5 points at Stanford. I kind of think that was a last gasp effort for a dead Stanford team. BYU has a chance to get another win over a Power 5 team that it actually occasionally recruits against. And I've been against BYU for about a solid month, I think, just going back and looking at my record. And here I think they're an appropriate spot to lay it. I think they can score, 35-40 in this game. And I just don't really trust Stanford to score, 30 against anybody.
Dig it. Since this is a Friday play, I should probably cycle back to it now that the board is open. Oh, no, it's not a Friday play. It's a Saturday play. I'm going to go to the Apple Cup. Give me the Cougs in Pullman on the short number with Washington in town. This is a Washington State team that I've enjoyed kind of tracking over the last couple of weeks. Got lost in the sauce, lost 4 out of 5 mid-season, but then they bounce back from the Utah loss. They thump Stanford. They hold on against Arizona State after getting out to a big lead. And then I was on the wrong end, at least in terms of my discussion of what was going to happen at Arizona. So 31-20, it was a fairly impressive win in a spot when we knew the Wildcats might be motivated. I think that this is a spot playing at home, short number. I think Washington State can win this game. Give me Cam Ward and the Cougs in Pullman in the Apple Cup.
Do we want to mention Danny, before he left, added Louisville +3 to his card? Does anybody else have a play for Louisville-Kentucky?
I kind of want to take Kentucky, but it's not a lock.
I'll fight Danny. -2.5.
Fight.
So maybe one of us will win and one of us will push. I think Kentucky has a chance to run the ball pretty well on Louisville in this game, and it's Mark Stoops with a new contract at home, needing a win.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, but you know what? Honestly, I kind of think Satterfield needs a win here too.
But they just beat NC State.
I'm telling you, I still think he needs a win here.
What's Purdue doing this weekend?
Purdue is playing Indiana
in the old Oaken Bucket,
trying to win the West. Needs a win.
I was on the me believing LSU was behind USC last night was a truly honest mistake on my part. I did not believe that LSU was going to be at 5 and USC was going to be at 6. That was not a planned bit. I was coming in hot off HQ where I'd been doing all preview stuff. I hadn't even seen the rankings. And look, I have heard it from the LSU fans, and that is not inspired my pick, but I wanted to at least say that my lessons learned had not to do with the college football playoff rankings. My lessons learned had to do with the way that they took care of business against UAB, a game that I was dialed into. UAB is a team that has not quit. cannot say the same for the Texas A&M Aggies. And I think that as we look at College Station with the Tigers in town, I don't know where the number would be when I would even sniff the Aggies to win that game. So even though they've got a total look-ahead spot with Georgia on deck in the SEC championship game, even though they could outright lose this game and still be in the SEC championship game, I think LSU takes care of business here. I think they win this game. I'm going to get a 9.5 on this one.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yep. Give me LSU.
Look at you cowering.
I think that's
giving
the right
into
side
the
too,
haters.
Everybody was telling me, everybody was acting like I was like legitimately upset about that. I was truly stunned. Like I was surprised that was the behavior that the selection committee took.
One of the great things about being in this industry is that when you say that LSU should be 6 instead of 5, everybody thinks you suddenly hate LSU. It's like, no, I think they're one spot too high. That's really all it is. I don't hate them, but yeah, that's just kind of how it works.
And then I was getting grilled on CBS Sports Radio this morning with the, just like, yeah, but what would the Vegas odds say if they played tomorrow? And I said, well, look, we're not going to let models determine the entire rankings, or else why do we even play the games? It has to be a combination of best and most deserving. Anyway, enough of that.
Anyways, A&M money. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to go. I think this game's on Friday, right? UCLA-Cal.
Yeah. Friday game.
Give me no, I'm going to take the under 60.5. I'm scared to lay it with UCLA coming off of that game because I don't know what kind of mindset they're in. So I think short week coming off a loss, that's a pretty big loss for them. Maybe it's a little sleepy. Maybe Cal's defense gets kind of geared up for this one and slows them down a little bit. I just think the total's kind of high here, so I'm taking the under 60.5.
I don't hate that. Yeah.
I don't hate that at all. Let's go Clemson-South Carolina under 52.
Don't hate that either.
I'll tell you what's not going to happen is Spencer Rattler's not going to have like 15 touchdowns in this game. That is the one side that I feel the most confident in. I thought about 14 and the hook for Clemson was another position here where you've got a little bit of a letdown factor, and the Tigers have won their last 2 games pretty decisively. But ultimately, I do think that this is going to be a game where South Carolina will struggle to score. We will see South Carolina point totals and South Carolina offensive production more similar to some of the rest of their schedule, not similar to what they were able to do in Williams-Brice Stadium against the Volunteers. We ride with Clemson's defense and the under 52.
Like it. Got another one here.
All right.
Give me North Texas minus, what are we at, 14 here, I think? All right. 14 works. Give me North Texas minus 14 over Rice. North Texas needs this ball game to make it to the CUSA title game. If they lose, pretty sure they won't go. Rice last week did not look very good against UTSA. I think they'll win this one comfortably at home on senior day. That was a really kind of deflating loss last week for Rice.
We brought it up. I'm going to go back to the old Oaken bucket because now that I know that Jeff Brom's got his eyes on another job.
Hoosiers.
I'm not taking the Hoosiers. I'm taking the under 54.5 in this one as well. Because I don't know what the deal was with Purdue last week against Northwestern. Like maybe they were just completely looking past the Wildcats, or maybe they were taking the week off. I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me because they're in a position where they had to win games to win the West. But like Northwestern's defense has been awful all season. Everybody's moved the ball on it and put a bunch of points, and Purdue only got 17. And then Indiana completely came back and just blew Michigan State out of the water after falling behind early in that game to win that game in double OT. I think the Hoosiers are fired up. I don't know about the vibes about Purdue, although based on what Bud said 5 minutes ago, maybe I'm starting to understand the vibes surrounding Purdue at the moment. But I don't think Indiana plus 10.5 is a terrible play at all, but I like the under 54.5 better.
All right. I'm tapped out.
I am as well.
Oh, okay. Well, then I guess I'll just go rapid fire here.
Oh, spray the board Saturday. Let's go.
Wake Duke over 66.5. What the hell? Like, is that number not super low to you? I feel like this game's getting to the 70s. Two good offenses, two defenses that really haven't shown much propensity for stopping anybody. This just feels like the kind of game that nobody's going to be watching on Saturday, but we're all going to be like, it's going to be the fourth quarter. It's going to be a 38-38 game. It's going to be crazy at the end. Everybody will pay attention to it. So give me Wake Duke over 66.5. I'm taking the under 54 in Coastal and James Madison. Just strikes me as a little, as long as it's over 51, I like the under in that one. Oh,
question on that. Who do you think that Coastal will sit? Because JMU is not bowl eligible and they can't win the Sun Belt, right? So this is kind of their homecoming. Like, this is their last hurrah. Coastal won't have Grayson McCall, but they, like, who else are they going to sit? Are they going to sit the receiver Brown? Are they going to sit the big nose guard? Because they're already locked in to play, I assume, Troy next week if Troy can handle, Arkansas State. That's one I'm having a really hard time figuring out because I don't know exactly. Like, Chadwell has not had this situation before that I could find. So I don't know what his propensity is as far as sitting everybody out.
I don't think they're going to score too many points.
And the committee showed no inclination to put Coastal up top, to give them a shot at the New Year's Six. So it's not like if they win the game, they're still alive for it.
But I totally understand where you're coming from on that handicap. I'm just saying, I don't think there's going to be too many points in that game.
I agree with that. Yeah.
And then finally, Southern Miss ULM under 51.5. Numbers play.
All right. Well, we asked and you delivered. We have soared over 200 likes. We are nearing 250 right now. So we're going to give away some more Paramount Plus 30-day free trials to the premium plan. Go ahead and drop your handles in the chat and make sure that you are following the Cover 3 podcast. We appreciate you hanging out and watching live. Watch live to win. That is our calling card here in the holiday season. To review, Tom is on Florida State minus 9.5, Notre Dame plus 5.5, Texas minus 8.5, Ohio State, Michigan under 57, Iowa State plus 10, Vandy plus 14.5, UCLA-Cal under 60.5, Purdue, Indiana under 54.5, Wake, Duke over 66.5, Coastal JMU under 54, Southern Miss ULM under 51.5. It's a numbers play. Chip is on Florida State minus 9.5, Cincinnati minus 2, Auburn team total under 13.5, UNC minus 6.5. Iowa State plus 10, Vandy plus 10.5, Wazoo plus 2, LSU minus 9.5, and the Clemson-South Carolina under 52. Danny's got Florida State minus 9.5, USC minus 5.5, Texas minus 8.5, NC State plus 6.5, TCU minus 9.5, Vandy plus 14.5, Louisville plus 3, Mississippi State plus 2.5, and Ohio State minus 7.5. And Bud is on the Florida State team total over 33.5. Tulane plus 2.5, Oregon minus 3, Ohio State, Michigan under 57, App State minus 4.5, BYU minus 6.5, Kentucky minus 2.5, and North Texas minus 14. We've got Latifah on Florida State minus 9.5 and Vanderbilt plus 14.5. We've got a lock fight between Tom and Danny on the Notre Dame-USC side. On a lock fight between Chip and Bud on the Cincinnati-Tulane side. A lock fight between Chip and Danny on the North Carolina-NC State side. Lock agreement on Texas minus 8.5 between Tom and Danny. Lock agreement between Tom and Bud on Ohio State, Michigan under 57. We got ourselves a good old bar fight as Danny's on TCU minus 9.5, Tom and Chip on Iowa State plus 10, and a lock fight between Louisville and Kentucky. That is a Danny Bud lock fight. So we turn our attention to the big old cash register. Where are we going for money line sprinkles? Danny's money line sprinkles are Mississippi State plus 110 and Texas A&M plus 320. Hey ho, Jimbo, get it done, says Danny Cannell. Where's everybody going?
I'm also on Mississippi State plus 110 because if I'm betting anything in that game, I'm just going to bet, the dog. I'm not really going to figure out the spread of the total right now. Plus, the lines moved a lot. Other sprinkles I have: Mizzou plus 135 at home against Arkansas, Louisville plus 130. So it's not technically a bar fight, but I'll be rooting for Danny's. Vandy plus 420, smoking. And then Wazoo plus 110.
Like it. I'm on Wazoo with you as well. Mississippi State. I think those are both 110s.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go really big here and take a swing. Give me UTEP plus 625 at UTSA.
Mode. Let's go.
I mean, look, do I think UTEP's going to win the game? No. Do I think there's a better chance than 625 that they pull it off? Yeah. Last year, like I said, UTSA just totally laid down and lost the game before the conference title game. Really held out a bunch of guys. Haven't seen what they're going to do this year. I'll take a shot that this closes more like plus 400 if they do hold out a lot of guys. UTEP needs this game for a bowl. Hardison has practiced, so they might be getting their quarterback back. Just saying, worth a little shot here. Damn, did I do it? I'm gonna hold off on BC, but I do think that's inflated.
So I alleged that Bud's automated insights ruined moneyline sprinkles. That the idea that we were counting sprinkles as stakes was very much against the sort of idea of the moneyline sprinkles, that the amount that you're putting on a lock is not going to be the amount that you put on a sprinkle. And then he explained to me that it's more of a variance play. And so I've got two underdogs where I do think that a moneyline, alt line type scenario is possible, where either the underdog that I'm sprinkling can win or they are not going to cover and they are going to lose by a lot. Michigan plus 240 in the shoe. Wolverines. Giving Ryan Day a losing record in the game would be amazing. It would be truly amazing. But if Michigan doesn't win outright, I think that they end up losing this game by 14 points. So high variance play. Additionally, what's my price on Notre Dame?
Notre Dame.
180 is the best I see.
Yeah, 180.
Notre Dame plus 180, where Notre Dame, I think, could be that Pac-12 law of physics that is sweeping in here at the end of the season. Marcus Freeman, what he has done to be able to keep this team from the bottom falling out has been very impressive. I think that USC, either USC could lose this game or they win this game by 10 points or so. So Michigan and Notre Dame are my money line sprinkles. Let's see. Danny, Wazoo. All right. That's it. We got it. We got them all on the board.
We did it.
We did it. You can follow him on Twitter at Tom Fernelli. You can follow him at Bud Elliott 3. You can follow me at Chip_Patterson. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Happy Thanksgiving.